Hey guys, Colorado Dave here. This is Knives in Our Lives. My channel is Knives in Our Lives. Please do subscribe, guys. I haven't really been asking as I've been making these videos, and I've been doing this for about a month now, and could really use your support. I want to keep this thing going, but I want to get some more subscribers as well, so that I know you guys are enjoying this, and I'm not just rambling on for no reason. But please do give me some support if you don't mind, guys. Thanks. Today we're going to talk Medford a little bit, and I want to talk about my Smooth Criminal. I did an unboxing for you guys a while back, and I told you I'd get back to you in about a month or so. It was one of the first videos I did, and it was in reference to this knife and just unboxing it for you guys and being very impressed with what I saw. And anyway, let's get into it. I have it in the box for a reason, and I guess the only reason is to show you kind of what all comes with it. And one of the reasons Medford's a lot of fun is they do give you the extras, the little extras and the perks. You're paying for it. Medford's not cheap, but they do give you the extra little perks. In the world of Medford, this would be considered their lowest end or cheaper knives on the folding end that I know of, at least. But this is Medford Knife and Tool. It does come in a nice pouch like this, which we'll open in a second. You do get a birth date on it, like a birth date card. And then you do get a dog tag as well, which is basically just telling you their address and phone number and all that, which is pretty cool. And then you get a little warranty underneath that. And I happen to have an extra clip. There's a story behind this with the extra, and I just realized this for the first time, with the extra screws to replace it. But they did not give me the proprietary tool to put it on the knife. But that's another issue for another time. We will talk about that later. I did have to change my clip out. I'm supposed to change my clip out. As Medford, basically when I got this knife delivered to me, it did have a big scratch in the clip. And I brought it up to Medford. Amy Medford did deal with it and sent me out another clip. She said she was going to send it with a tool so that I can install it. I am not seeing that. So I'll have to take a look at this and see if it's a regular bit or what it is, but I'm not positive that I'm going to be able to install that. But it is a brand new clip. I didn't put it on because I was making this knife a user, and since I was going to be using it, I figured I'd save the new clip in case I ever got rid of it. I would change them out at the time. I'm going to have to look into that and see if I need a tool for that or what is up with that, because I'm not positive. But this is how their box looks, just so you're aware. This is what it comes in when you get it. Enough with the box. Let's put it off to the side. Let's talk about the knife. I do use this case. I use it for sunglasses a lot. If I don't have a knife in it, to be honest with you, because it's nice and soft. But anyway, that's what that's all about. Pretty basic, pretty simple case, but it's nice to have, and I appreciate them including it. Here's the knife. This is the blue Smooth Criminal, and this is by Medford Knife and Tools. This has the S35 VN steel on it. And it is a button lock knife. It is kind of a, I wouldn't call it a deep carry clip. I would call it just like an average depth as far as the carry of the clip. As you can see, my hands are a little bit sweaty. So that's why you're getting a little bit of marks there. But that's some type of serial number. I'm not sure what that means exactly, but obviously it means something to Medford. What I really like about this knife, and let's see if I'm getting this on camera properly or not, but what I really like is that grind. Look at the grind on that edge. It's got like a hollow grind to it, almost like a slight hollow grind to it, not just a straight flat grind. And what I really like is that it's all hand ground from what I understand. And it's got some really nice deep grooves in it as well. But the blade's beautiful. I really, really like the blade. I don't know if I'm getting this on the camera very well or not, but the blade is beautiful. And then I did put my edge on this since you guys have seen this last. It does have my edge on it. Out of the box, I would say I was probably a little bit disappointed on the edge. It was a little, it sliced okay, but it wasn't crazy slicey or anything like that. I brought it down to like 18 degrees. I just did it on my KME and put a mirror edge on it. I didn't do anything crazy with it, like bring it back and rough it back up and try to do anything special to it. I just put a nice mirror edge on it. And you know what? Now it's really slicey, and I do like it. It's very, very nice. I would say it's great for smaller tasks. It's strong enough for larger tasks, but I don't know that it's the best blade shape. For example, I've been cutting some larger cardboard and stuff with it. If I do small cardboard, I love it. You know, if I get into some really thick stuff, for me personally, being a bigger knife guy, I want a little bit bigger knife. It's nothing against this knife. It's just that it does have limitations just on sheer size if I'm going through some thicker cardboard or, you know, I haven't taken any hardcore wood on yet. I did some whittling, some minor whittling with it, and it was great. Have not taken on anything heavy duty. I probably wouldn't because I don't look at this knife for that purpose. If I'm to do some true, you know, batoning or anything like that, obviously I'm going to use a fixed blade. But I have taken it up in the mountains with me and just done some minor whittling with it and things like that. And it's been great and it's fine. But the only thing that I've run into that I was kind of like, maybe I want a different knife that I've done so far is I did have a bigger cardboard project I did one day in my garage, breaking down some stuff from a project. And I used this knife. And don't get me wrong, it worked well. It was fine. But I felt like it was just a little small. And when I got to the thicker stuff, I felt like I could have used just a little bit more knife. But again, that's not the main purpose of this knife. I believe the purpose of this knife is it's just a great EDC, everyday carry knife. It's a summer one for me. I put it in my summer collection, as I would say it, which are my lighter, shorter, smaller knives. They carry better in shorts and lighter pants and that kind of thing. And this falls perfect in that category. I do apologize, guys. This blade isn't 100% clean, but part of that's the finish you get from this Medford knife too. The way that they do the stonewash finish, you get that kind of rougher look to it. And I kind of like that. It's got kind of a, I guess rustic is probably, not rusty, but rustic, kind of rougher look to the stonewash I like, you know, in contrast to the actual grind on the blade. So it's pretty. It really is pretty in person, guys. It's a good looking knife. The button lock, this is one of only a couple that I've played with. And man, this thing is fun. It's very fidgety. I don't overplay with it because I know Medford makes a big deal about that. But, you know, I play with it a little bit. You can see the centering on it's right on. It's just a great everyday carry, small to medium-sized knife. Because of the aluminum frame, it doesn't have any crazy weight to it. Let's look at what it weighs. I just happen to have my scale here. Let's see what it weighs, because I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I will tell you the length of the blade is roughly 3 inches. I'm not doing this exact, guys. But yeah, the weight of the knife, so it's got a little heft to it. It's 3.71 is what it's telling me as far as the weight. So it's roughly 3 3/4, okay, is what we're saying the weight is on a 3-inch knife, 3-inch blade knife. So the numbers work pretty good. It's a little heavier than I thought, to be honest with you, but it feels solid. It definitely feels solid. It's going to feel heavier than some of the comparison knives I'm going to show you. And just, it's got that sturdiness to it that I really like. And this aluminum, as far as in the handle, it's a little bit wide. You can see how thick it is. And with that thickness, again, we'll look at it closer when we start looking at some comparisons. Excuse me. I'll spit that out yet. You'll start seeing it. This does have some width to it, but it makes it feel really nice in hand because of that. The clip, you do feel the clip a little bit. I'm not crazy about their clip, to be honest. It fits me pretty well as far as how it falls in my hand, but I could see where for some people, this might not be the most comfortable clip. The clip does stand up a little bit, which is one of my negatives about the clip, if you can see that. How there's that gap. I don't like that gap in it because it makes it fall in and out of the pocket a little bit too easy. That's how it came from the manufacturer, and because it's proprietary, you really can't mess around with it. I don't know if you guys can see it from this video because I know this camera isn't the best. I'm using my phone camera right now, but there's underneath the actual logo, there's like a strong scratch that was underneath the knife. So because of that, when I got it in box and I got delivered to me, I noticed it immediately. I did call it in to Medford and asked them about it. You know, hey, can you do something about this clip? Because it's got a big old scratch in it. And Amy Medford herself called me back and stood behind it and said, yeah, we'll send you out another clip and we'll send you out a tool so that you're going to be able to change it over. I did get the clip. I didn't really look that close. I just threw it in the box with my other stuff, but I did realize I don't have the tool to necessarily undo that clip. I'll take a closer look at that. It might just be a regular hex bit or something. I'm not sure. And maybe that's why she didn't send something. But if it is something proprietary, I'm going to have to call them back and see what I can do about getting that tool so that I can change that clip out eventually. I am hoping that if I change the clip out, that it's going to be tighter and it's going to sit tighter on the frame, because I don't like that gap between the clip and the frame. If not, I'll take this one and bend it down a little bit if I'm able to get it off. So I haven't really played with it that much, to be honest with you, yet, as I'm just making it work as is, but I do believe I need to work on that clip a little bit. Again, the only negative thing I'd really say about the knife is probably the clip. This is a great user knife. I think it's a great everyday carry knife. I think it's really fidgety and fun. And whether you're going to do it like that, whether you're going to use the flipper, whether you light switch it, whether you push it, either way it works. I have tried a couple other models of this knife. I've tried it in red and green and some other things. And this one had the best action of all the ones that I've touched personally. And so I've been really happy with this one as far as the action goes. It's a great little knife. I mean, it's a great little summer knife. If you want something fidgety that's got that, you know, really durable feel to it, like a stronger knife feel to it, you will feel the difference in this. You can see the blade stack. Look at how thick that is. I could measure that out for you, but I'm not going to. My reviews aren't about getting the specific specs on every little detail of the knife. If you want that, there's other reviewers that are doing that. I'm just telling you how it feels realistically in hand after I've worked with it for a month and it's been in my rotation and spent some time in my pocket, and I'm just giving you a down-to-earth, hey, this is what the knife's about, you know. I was worried about the aluminum. I was really worried about it getting scratched up, to be honest with you. And so far, it's held up really, really well. I will tell you, if you look at this, again, it looks like I'm ripping on this knife, and I don't mean to because it's really a great knife. But if you look really closely, do you see that spot right there? That is the actual anodizing. I got the knife that way. That is not a fingerprint mark. That is not something I put on the knife. That is something that it came to me that way from the factory. When I talked to Amy Medford on the phone, I actually did bring it up to her that it did have a mark on the actual knife. She asked me if I wanted to take pictures and, you know, make a big to-do about it. I didn't. I'm just like, whatever, I'll make it work. You know, I did not make a big deal about it. And I don't think it's a big deal. It's not going to affect the knife in any way. But again, I would definitely say it's a little bit of a disappointment when you're spending this much on a knife. You shouldn't have these kind of issues like the clip and having this little minor issue as far as just an inconsistency with the anodizing. I'm not sure how that happened exactly, but it's obviously something in the anodizing, so it won't come out. I've used, she had recommended that I put some rubbing alcohol or something on there and try to get it off, and it didn't work. But anyway, that's not on her. I told her I was okay with it and I was going to make it work, but and I will. But just FYI, that's something else that I did notice about the knife. Again, it's a great little knife. I do think it's a fair value for what it is in the knife world if you want to get into some of the higher end knives, if that makes sense at all. Meaning that this is a good quality knife. It's one that I can justify the price of roughly $300, okay, on this knife. I can justify the price. And I can justify it based on the materials, based on the machining, based on the hand grind, based on the reputation of Medford and the quality of their design work, based on the fact that it's a unique button lock type of knife that kind of has its own little category, because there's not a lot of knives out there like this that you could compare it to. I think it's a fair value. I think some of the Medfords are just crazy expensive, and I haven't worked with them enough to say that that's good for me or bad for me, but I will tell you that this one to me seems like a fair value. Some of those other ones, based on the imperfections I'm seeing on this, like the clip and like this little thing with the anodizing, etc., I can't say that I'm going to run out and buy a $1,000 Medford knife or an $800 or a $700 Medford knife. This knife did not convince me to do that. That's what I was hoping it was going to do, is take me to that next category with Medford and understand why their knives cost so much. One, Like I said, I do like bigger knives, but some of their knives are just so big, they're not realistic to use. They're more just collector knives. And again, this isn't about bashing Medford, so I hope this video isn't coming off that way, because I don't mean to. I really do like this knife. I think it's a great little knife. But I don't know if I'm going to go further with experimenting with their line that much. The only other knife that I have my eye on in their line right now is the Slim Midi. I have put that in hand a couple times, and I do like the Slim Midi. I think that's a beautiful knife, and that's going up to about $500, which is a lot of money for me, and that puts me in the Chris Reeve territory. And that is, I would have to say, hands down right now, my favorite American company as far as production knives go. And so for me to spend that kind of money, it's hard not to go in the direction of Chris Reeves. Sorry, guys. I like both companies. They're both great. But with my personal experience and the way that Chris Reeve is as a company, as far as their customer service and just their reputation over the years, not that Medford's is bad because it's good as well, I would have to spend that kind of money probably in a different direction than Medford, to be honest, after my experience with this knife. But again, this knife, for the money that it costs, I think is a fair value, and it's a great little knife, and it definitely feels strong. I mean, there is no play in this knife, guys. None. It's going nowhere. The aluminum is holding up awesome as far as scratching and anything like that, and I haven't babied this knife. I really haven't. I've just thrown it in my pocket regular and, run around and done what I do with it. I haven't been afraid to cut into food with it. I haven't been afraid to cut into tape and some sticky stuff with it. I really have used this knife. The one thing I'm a little careful with sometimes is if I know I'm going into cardboard and stuff, I pull any staples out ahead of time, stuff like that, because I don't want to take the risk of running into a big staple when I'm cutting through cardboard and scrape up a nice knife like this. So I'm a little paranoid that way, but will I use it? Absolutely, I'll use this. Will I take on big projects with it? Absolutely. But I'm also going to be a little bit smart with it. For those of you who don't know, by the way, I think I'll mention it because I learned this, just through buying this knife, etc. But that little S underneath the MKT, which obviously that's for Medford Knife and Tool. The S, though, is for S35VN. I don't know if a lot of you know this or don't, but anybody who is a Medford fan would probably know this already. But they just recently, like in the last, as I understand it, year or two, have switched over to the S35 VN steel. They've been using D2 forever, which, obviously is a little bit more apt to corrosion, where this should be a little bit better in that world and give you a little bit more stainless traits. But then again, that will affect your edge as well. So there's advantages both ways, but definitely I believe the S35VN is the right steel to have on this knife, and it's one of the best quality steels for a pocket knife that you can get as far as I'm concerned, because it covers, what you're really looking for as far as the percentage of, strength versus durability versus edge retention, etc. I think S35VN is just fine. And the heat treat you're going to get from Medford will be dynamite because they do quality work on their knives. There's no question about it. It's a quality product. The only other thing you will notice about the shape of this, and I've thought about it a couple times, and it still may happen before it's all said and done once I know I'm going to keep this knife, is I'm not a huge fan of the lanyard here, the way it sticks up on top here. It goes right into your palm when you hold the knife, because if you're going to play right here with the button for the button lock, what you're getting in your hand, really, if you can see that, is it's going to be the lanyard going right in your hand. So I've considered cutting this off and just sanding it down and then painting it black so that it still blends back in. I'm seriously considering it because I'm never going to have a lanyard on there. And honestly, it gets in my way more than it helps. So I don't know that I get the lanyard thing there, but I get it. Some people are into lanyards, and so it needs to be there, I guess, which is fine. But for me, I don't really need the lanyard hole either. But again, I know it sounds like I'm ripping on this knife. I'm really not. It really is a fun, fidgety knife. It's great to put in my pocket. It's a great addition to my collection. It may be a forever keeper. I'm not positive at this point. I'm still figuring out this knife, and I'm still learning about it. But like I said, for EDC, it's great. It's definitely great. I feel like I could use this in winter or summer. It just kind of has that feel where it could go either way. Anyway, let's do some comparisons just so you got a better idea of the size of this. We'll start out with the pair of 3, since we all know that knife. Boy, that was pretty pathetic. Let's do a little bit better job. Let's go like that. And look at these side by side. Excuse me, guys. Just getting over a cold. Anyway, on these 2 knives here, this is the pair of 3 Maximate. Love this knife. Probably my heaviest carried knife last year. And you can see from a size comparison standpoint that they match up pretty close as far as the actual blade. I would say the blade's probably a little better, or bigger, I should say, on the Medford as far as cutting edge, but very similar. I think the choil just takes a little bit away from the Spyderco as far as cutting edge, but both comparable, both great smaller EDC knives. Good comparison there. Let's look at the Spidey 2. This is the PM2, Paramilitary 2. It's obviously a bigger knife. It's got a bigger edge. It's got a bigger handle. It is a larger knife. But just for comparison purposes, I wanted to show you that. I will also put it up against the Capara just because I love this knife. It's one of my favorites, and I just love showing it off whenever I can. This is definitely a user and a keeper. I actually got this last year for my birthday in October, and I've carried it quite a bit since. I do a lot of food prep and stuff with it as well. But again, you can see it's a much larger blade than the Medford Smooth Criminal, and it's got a lot more handle to it. It's also a much thinner design, so it's a very different knife. Both great knives, but very different. What else? I just wanted to pull out one of my ZTs because I don't pull them out a lot. But let's look at the RJ Martin, because I thought that was pretty close in comparison, yet a little bigger, which it is. This RJ Martin's an interesting knife. It's the one that has that see-through pivot. If you can see that, it's kind of cool. This is another one that's kind of an underrated knife. I don't think it got played as big as it could have, and it's a great EDC carry. It's a really good size, that kind of in-between size for a lot of guys or gals, but it's definitely an in-between size. And if you're looking for something not huge, but you want a knife that's still got some substance to it, yet it's thin and classy and fits well in the pocket, this is a great knife, guys. This is a really nice knife. I like it a lot. Mine's been definitely safe queened. I have not really used this knife like I should have, and it's just haven't gotten to it. I did put an edge on it. It's got my edge on it, and I just did that immediately because the edge from the factory was very so-so. ZT sometimes gets it right. They have some of the sharpest knives, edges that I've gotten from factory, and they have some of the worst. For whatever reason, on that RJ Martin, it didn't size up very well. But since we're talking about sharp blades and sharp edges, I'm going to pull this out. This is my 0456. By the way, that RJ Martin design is an 0609 is what the number is on it. My apologies, I didn't explain it. This is the 0456, and this is the Dmitry Sinkovich design that has recently been discontinued, like in the last year. I have gotten mine on the tail end of when they were getting ready to discontinue them. I grabbed one, and this probably has one of the best edges of any knife I've ever gotten from a factory out of box. I put my edge on my knives immediately, almost all the time. You know, after I use them maybe, you know, a day or two, I'll put my edge on because I'm like, oh, I want a better edge, because I'm all about having a really good edge on my knife. And, you know, this doesn't look like anything special. I don't know what it is. This specific knife, instead of having the CPM 20 CV, which is what most of the ZTs are, this one has the CPM 204P, which, you know, they say is similar. It's the same formula. It's the same materials, basically, as is M390. I don't know what it is, but this thing just, when you go through paper, cardboard, anything, it is so stinking slicey. And this edge, I've had this knife now for about a year. I have yet to put my edge on it. All I've done is strap this thing, and I've only strapped it like once or twice. This thing, it just has a phenomenal edge. And action, second to none. One of the best action knives I own. I really like this knife a lot. I know there was clones and all kinds of other stuff that went on with it. Mine's the real deal. I love it. It's another one it's probably going to be a keeper and stick around for a long time. I just really like this knife. I like the way it carries. It's a heavy knife. It's not for everybody. This is a very heavy knife. It's like 6.5 ounces or something like that, I believe. But again, for me, love it. I put it up against the Smooth Criminal. I think one of the reasons is it's got that same kind of thickness in the handle. It's got that same kind of, I don't know, like, you know, and again, I mean nothing by this, but it's got that manly feel. It's got that, you know, that heavy-duty, stronger feel to it. I guess it has a little bit of that going on. And it's because of how contoured the handle is in the titanium on this knife. And there is no milling on the titanium. So that's one of the reasons this knife is as heavy as it is. But again, absolutely love this knife. Fun comparison. This is going to be the Osborne 940. This is a Benchmade. Obviously a good comparison because a lot of people are very familiar with this knife. This happens to be the Blade HQ exclusive version. It's my first Benchmade 940. So I'm still newer to that world. This knife has been just a dream. I really like it. When I first got it, to be honest, I thought it was kind of cheap and I didn't think that much of it. And I'm like, man, what's all the hula about this knife? It's kind of cool. It's all right, I guess, but it was sticky and it was a little bit off-centered. Everything wasn't perfect on it, to be honest. Long and short is I played with it a little bit, got it right, put my edge on it. This thing is loosened up. This is just a phenomenal carry. Yes, I get the 940 Osborne thing now. I didn't get it before. I have not carried it heavy because I do think that this is one that's going to be more of a collector's knife potentially. But it makes me want to get another Osborne now, one that I can beat up. Or I'm just going to make the decision to beat this one up, which I just haven't done yet. I did put my edge on it, but I've still safe queened it a little bit. So that's what that one's about. I think we got through all of them. I think that's all I had for comparisons, but hopefully that gave you a better idea of the sizing of this knife. It's a smaller knife. I know I'm just rambling at this point. I wanted to share this with you guys. Make sure you saw all the packaging, saw what the knife's about. It's a great carry. I think for the summertime, it's a phenomenal carry. I think you can wear it with jeans, you can wear it with shorts, it can kind of go with anything. I do think it'll take a beating. I think it's a great knife. I think if you're looking for something very fidgety, quality, definitely quality. I mean, this thing is tight. It's not going anywhere, guys. I like how tight the tolerances are on this knife. That's one of the things I really like about it. I love the fidget factor on this knife. I like when I take it out of my pocket, it's just crazy easy to open. Out of all the knives I have, it's one of the easiest knives to just take out of my pocket and boom, you know, left-handed, right-handed, it doesn't matter. It's a very easy knife to use. Do I recommend it? I do recommend it. I recommend it if you are looking for a small to medium knife, something that's going to have a little bit bigger, stockier handle, a little bit, you know, stronger blade, something that's got a, I mean, look at that blade. It's got some width there. You know, you want something that's going to be a little heavier duty. You want to try a Medford and kind of break into their world for the first time. This is a good way to do it. That's what I'm doing. I'm just breaking into their world. And don't get me wrong. I mean, 6 months from now, I could have 3 Medfords. Who knows? Our taste change in this world, I've learned. Right now, I just happen to be very excited about another friend of ours in the U.S. market, which is Chris Reeves. I'm really, really hip on their knives right now, and so I'm saving up for Chris Reeve and to share with you guys. But anyway, enough for now. I'm signing off, and we'll be in touch. Thanks, guys.